Welcome to Speak English with me.
Improve your vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation with our engaging lessons.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Speak English with me. I'm Sam.
And I'm Emma. It's really good to have you here with us today. We're talking about something almost everyone has felt at some point, even if we don't like admitting it.
Jealousy.
Oh, that word can make people uncomfortable.
It really can. When someone says, "I'm jealous," we sometimes imagine a person who is angry, controlling, or unhappy when other people succeed.
But jealousy can be much quieter. Sometimes you don't shout, complain, or even say anything. You just feel something inside you.
Like when your friend tells you they got an amazing new job, and you're genuinely happy for them, but then you go home and think, why hasn't something like that happened to me?
Yes, and then you feel guilty because you think, why am I comparing myself to my friend? I love this person. I want them to succeed.
That's the strange thing about jealousy. You can be happy for someone and jealous of them at the same time.
I've felt that before. One of my friends started doing really well in her career. She was getting opportunities, meeting interesting people, traveling for work, and everyone was congratulating her.
And you were happy for her?
I was, but I remember going home one evening and feeling terrible about myself. I kept thinking, she's moving forward and I'm standing still.
Wow, that sounds painful.
It was, and the difficult part was that she hadn't done anything wrong. She hadn't taken anything from me. She was just living her life.
I totally get that. Sometimes the other person isn't the problem. The uncomfortable feeling comes from what their success makes us think about our own lives.
When we compare ourselves with someone, we measure their situation against our own. You might say, I keep comparing myself with my classmates, or I compare my career with my friend's career.
And comparison can become dangerous when we only notice what someone else has and forget what we already have. Imagine two friends sitting in a cafe. One says, I just bought a new car. The other smiles and says, that's great. But inside, they're thinking, I've been working for years and I still can't afford a car like that.
And that thought can quickly become, why is their life better than mine?
Which can turn into jealousy.
Or envy. People often use those words in the same way, but there is a difference.
We'll come back to that later. For now, I want to say something important. Feeling jealous doesn't automatically mean you're a bad person.
I agree. Feelings can appear before we have time to choose them.
You might feel jealous when your best friend makes a new friend. You might feel jealous when your coworker gets promoted. You might even feel jealous when your brother or sister receives more attention from your family.
And sometimes you don't even understand why.
Then ask yourself one simple question. What am I actually afraid of?
That's a powerful question.
Maybe you're not jealous of the new friend. Maybe you're afraid your old friend doesn't need you anymore.
Or maybe you're not jealous of the promotion. Maybe you're afraid that you're falling behind.
So jealousy can be like a signal. It can show us something we're worried about.
But we shouldn't believe every thought jealousy gives us.
Right. If I feel jealous and think everyone is more successful than me, that doesn't mean it's true. It might just mean I'm having a difficult moment.
I like that. A feeling is real, but the story we create around the feeling may not be true.
And you can say, I'm feeling jealous without saying, I am a jealous person.
That difference matters. One describes a feeling you're experiencing, the other sounds like you're describing your whole personality.
And feelings change.
They do. You can feel jealous today and feel proud of someone tomorrow.
Or you can feel jealous for 5 minutes and then realize, hold on, I'm actually happy for them. I'm just disappointed with myself.
That sounds much more honest.
I think honesty is important here. Sometimes we try so hard to be positive that we don't admit what we really feel. We say, I'm completely happy for everyone. I never compare myself with anyone, and then secretly we're checking what everyone else is doing.
Especially online.
Oh, definitely. But let's save that conversation, because social media can make this whole issue much bigger.
Good idea. For now, jealousy is a normal emotion, but it can teach us something if we're willing to look at it honestly.
And if you've ever had that uncomfortable feeling when someone else succeeds, remember that you're not alone. Don't hate yourself for feeling it. Try to understand where it comes from. And if you're enjoying this kind of natural English conversation, make sure you subscribe to Speak English with Me and join us for more conversations like this. And when you understand where that feeling comes from, it becomes much easier to talk about it, especially when another person is involved.
Yes, because jealousy can become much more complicated when it happens between people we really care about. With a stranger, you might feel jealous for a moment and move on, but when it's your best friend, your partner, or someone in your family, the feeling can stay with you for a long time.
And sometimes you don't even know how to explain it without sounding unreasonable. You might be thinking, I know this sounds silly, but I can't stop feeling this way.
I think that happens a lot with friendships. Imagine you have a close friend, and for years, the two of you have talked almost every day. Then your friend meets someone new, and suddenly they're spending weekends together, sending each other funny messages, and making plans without you.
You might tell yourself, don't be childish. They're allowed to have other friends. But even though you understand that logically, there can still be this little voice inside you saying, so where do I fit now?
And that question can hurt because friendship is connected to belonging. We all want to feel that we matter to the people we love. When that feeling becomes uncertain, jealousy can appear very quickly.
I had something similar happen when I was younger. I had a really close friend, and then he joined a new group at school. At first, I was happy for him because he was meeting new people and having fun.
So when did you start feeling differently about it?
Slowly. He started talking about these new friends all the time. They had inside jokes I didn't understand. They were making plans together. And one weekend, I found out they had gone somewhere without inviting me.
Oh, that must have hurt, especially if you had been used to being one of the people he always included.
It did. I remember sitting there thinking, I'm not going to care. I'm not going to let this bother me. But honestly, I cared a lot.
Did you tell him how you felt?
No, and that was probably my mistake. I was embarrassed because I thought if I admitted I was jealous, he might think I was needy or trying to control his friendships.
So instead of talking about it, you kept it inside.
I did. I became quieter around him. I stopped asking him to hang out, and I think I was secretly waiting for him to notice that something was wrong.
That can be such a difficult trap. We expect people to understand feelings that we haven't explained to them.
Yes, and we sometimes think if they really care about me, they should know what's wrong. But people aren't mind readers. Someone can care about you deeply and still have no idea that you're hurt.
Did your friend eventually notice that you were acting differently?
He did, but he completely misunderstood the reason. He thought I was busy and didn't want to spend time with him anymore. Well, I was sitting there thinking he didn't need me anymore.
Wow. So both of you were making assumptions, and neither of you knew what the other person was actually thinking.
Exactly. And that experience taught me something. Sometimes jealousy creates a story in our mind before we have all the information.
That's a really useful idea. We see one small thing, and then our brain fills in all the missing pieces. Your friend doesn't invite you somewhere, and suddenly you're thinking, they don't care about me anymore.
Or someone replies to your message 3 hours later, and you start thinking, they're ignoring me. They must be upset with me. Maybe they don't want to talk to me anymore.
And then you're emotionally reacting to a story that might not even be true. Maybe they were working. Maybe their phone was in another room. Maybe they were having a terrible day.
Right. The feeling is real, but our explanation for the feeling can be completely wrong.
And romantic relationships can make this even more intense because there is often a deeper fear of losing someone you love.
I think we've all seen a situation where someone's partner is talking to another person and suddenly they become uncomfortable. They start asking, who is that? How do you know them? Why were you laughing with them?
And sometimes one simple moment becomes a whole movie inside their head.
A whole movie?
Yes. You see your partner laughing with someone and your brain says, they seem really comfortable together. Then it says, maybe they like that person. Then 5 minutes later, you're imagining a completely different future.
That sounds dramatic, but it happens. overthinking can turn one normal moment into 10 different problems.
The difficult part is that the other person may simply be having a normal conversation. They might not even realize that their partner is feeling uncomfortable.
So where should we draw the line between normal jealousy and unhealthy jealousy?
I think the key is what you do with the feeling. You can feel uncomfortable and still respect another person's freedom. Having a jealous feeling doesn't mean you have the right to control someone.
That's an important distinction. Saying, I feel a little insecure about this is very different from saying you're not allowed to talk to that person. Very different. The first sentence opens a conversation. The second one can create fear, anger, and resentment. Resentment is a useful word here too. It means a negative feeling that grows over time because you believe you've been treated unfairly or ignored. And resentment can build quietly. You might keep saying, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, while secretly collecting every little thing that has upset you. Then one day something tiny happens and suddenly you explode. The other person looks at you and says, where did that come from?
And from their point of view, it came from nowhere because they never saw everything that had been building inside you.
That's why honest communication matters so much. You don't have to turn every uncomfortable feeling into a serious conversation, but if something keeps bothering you, it's usually healthier to talk about it calmly than to let it grow in silence.
And being honest doesn't mean attacking someone. You can say, I've noticed that I've been feeling a little distant from you lately, and I'd like to talk about it.
Instead of saying, you never care about me anymore.
Yes, one sentence explains your experience, while the other sounds like an accusation. When people feel accused, they often stop listening and start defending themselves.
And once both people start defending themselves, the original problem can get buried under anger.
But if you can say, this situation made me feel insecure, or I'm worried that I'm losing our connection, the other person has a chance to understand what is really happening inside you.
I think that takes courage, because it's much easier to act angry than to admit that you're scared.
Definitely. Saying, I'm angry can feel powerful, but saying, I'm scared of losing you makes you vulnerable.
And sometimes that vulnerability is what the other person needs to hear. They may not realize that your jealousy is coming from love, fear, or loneliness, rather than a desire to control them.
And once you can talk about the real feeling underneath the jealousy, the conversation can change completely. Instead of fighting about who someone talked to, you might finally talk about what you both need from the relationship.
That's where jealousy can teach us something. It can show us that we need more communication, more reassurance, or sometimes more confidence in ourselves.
And I think the healthiest goal isn't to become a person who never feels jealous. It's to become a person who can notice jealousy, understand it, and choose what to do next without hurting the people they care about.
There's another kind of jealousy that can be surprisingly strong, and it doesn't always involve a close relationship. Sometimes you feel it when you look at someone else's life and start wondering why they seem to have everything you wish you had.
Yes, and that's where jealousy and envy can get mixed together. If your friend gets a promotion and you're afraid they'll replace you at work, that can feel like jealousy. But if you simply wish you had their salary, their job, or their opportunities, that feeling is closer to envy.
And envy can be uncomfortable because it often says something about our own dreams. Maybe you see someone traveling around the world and instead of thinking, that looks beautiful, you think, why am I still stuck here?
I've had that feeling when looking at people online. Someone posts a picture from a beautiful beach, then another picture from a nice restaurant, then they announce a new job, and suddenly you're looking at your own life thinking, what am I doing wrong?
The strange thing is that you might have had a perfectly good day before opening your phone.
Exactly. You can be happy with your life at 10 in the morning, spend 20 minutes scrolling through social media, and suddenly feel like you're failing at life.
That's because we're comparing our ordinary moments with somebody else's best moments. We see the holiday, but we don't see the stressful flight. We see the new house, but we don't know about the debt. We see the success, but we don't see the years of work behind it.
And we rarely see the difficult parts. People usually don't post, "I'm worried about money today," or "I feel lonely tonight," or "I'm not sure what I'm doing with my life."
So the picture we're comparing ourselves with isn't the whole picture.
Right. And this can happen with English learning too. You might see another learner speaking fluently and think, "They learned so quickly, I'll never speak like that."
But you don't know how long they've been studying, how much they practice, or what difficulties they had before you met them.
And you may be ignoring your own progress because you're focused on the distance between yourself and someone else.
That's why I think comparison can steal a lot of happiness. There's nothing wrong with being inspired by someone, but there's a difference between inspiration and self-punishment.
I love that distinction. You can look at someone successful and think, "I want to work towards something like that," instead of, "Their success proves that I'm not good enough."
And sometimes jealousy can actually tell you what you want. If you constantly envy someone's freedom, maybe freedom is important to you. If you envy someone's confidence, perhaps you want to become more confident yourself.
So instead of asking, "Why am I jealous of this person?" you can ask, "What is this feeling trying to tell me about my own life?"
That question can completely change the direction of the feeling. You stop looking at the other person as competition and start looking at yourself.
And maybe that's the healthiest response to envy. You don't have to pretend you never want what someone else has. You can admit it, learn from it, and then decide what you want to do with that information.
Because someone else's success doesn't make your progress less valuable.
And once you understand that, you can stop fighting the feeling and start using it as a reason to move forward.
So if jealousy is a feeling we can't always control, the real question is, what can we do when it appears?
I think the first step is simply to notice it without judging yourself. Instead of saying, "I'm a terrible person for feeling jealous," you can say, "Something about this situation is making me uncomfortable, and I want to understand why."
That small change can make a big difference. You're not fighting the emotion anymore. You're becoming curious about it.
And then you can ask yourself, what am I really worried about? Maybe you're afraid of losing someone, maybe you feel insecure, or maybe you're unhappy with something in your own life.
And once you know the reason, you can choose a healthier response. If you're jealous because you want to improve your career, for example, you can use that feeling as motivation instead of becoming bitter towards someone who is successful.
You can say, "I'm happy for them, and I also want to work towards something similar." Those two feelings can exist together.
I think that's one of the biggest lessons from this conversation. You don't have to feel ashamed of every negative emotion. Sometimes emotions are giving you information.
But you also don't have to obey every emotion. Feeling jealous doesn't mean you should accuse someone, check their phone, compete with them, or make them feel guilty.
It means you should pause and ask yourself what's really going on.
And let's quickly review some useful words from today. Insecure means you don't feel confident about yourself or a situation.
Envy means wanting something that another person has, while jealousy often involves fear of losing someone or something important to you.
Resentment is a negative feeling that grows when you believe you've been treated unfairly.
And when you compare yourself with someone, you measure your own situation against theirs, which can sometimes make you forget your own progress.
Another useful expression is feel left out. If you feel left out, you feel that other people are including everyone except you.
And overthink means thinking about something again and again, often creating problems or possibilities that may not even be real.
Finally, I really like the phrase, "focus on your own progress," because that might be the best answer to jealousy. You can notice what other people are doing without turning their lives into a measurement of your own value.
Yes, someone can be ahead of you in one area and still have struggles you know nothing about. Your journey doesn't become less meaningful because somebody else is doing well.
And maybe the next time jealousy appears, instead of immediately pushing it away, take a breath and ask, what is this feeling trying to tell me?
Maybe it will show you something you need to work on. Maybe it will show you that you need to communicate with someone. Or maybe it will simply remind you to appreciate what you already have.
I think that's a good place to leave it. Jealousy is human, but it doesn't have to control us. We can understand it, learn from it, and choose how we respond. And if you enjoyed practicing English with us today, keep listening, keep speaking, and keep making progress one conversation at a time.